I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't support it. I don't like it. Hey, hi everybody. Thanks for coming back for part 2. We are doing a therapist reacts to Dr. Phil video. If you have not seen part 1, I will put it up here, I think. So go watch that before you watch this because there's lots of wonderful context and lots of yelling that I did. Let's just jump into part 2. I'm super curious to hear what Dr. Phil's take on this is, but also how these people all interact with one another. All right, here we go.
Jessica feels that everybody hates her, that manifests itself in anger.
The last thing you said in your interview there on tape is you don't like anyone in your family.
Well, that was a little like over dramatic, I guess you can say.
Yeah. And you said repeatedly that you hate your mother.
Well,
she's fake.
I don't hate her, but I feel like she's fake.
You said that you feel like everybody hates you.
Yeah, I do.
Do you believe that?
Yeah, because whenever we go like on Thanksgiving or like when all of us are together, like my sisters, like they gang up on me and like actually like sometimes hit me and stuff. And
yeah.
I'm curious why we're putting her on trial, because he just keeps asking her questions and not really acknowledging her answers, which is a little bit odd. Also frustrated that mom just rolled her eyes. I don't do family therapy, so who knows if my instincts are right, but I feel like that would have been a good opportunity. We'll see if he does, but like, okay, eye rolling, a little bit much what's going on there, because the purpose of having a therapist in the room for these types of conversations is usually to help mediate the conversation and hold everyone accountable to the same agreed upon set of, not like rules, but expectations. If Jessica rolled her eyes at her mom, I would be willing to bet that mom would be frustrated by that. So it's important for mom to hold herself to that same standard so that we can facilitate open and honest communication where people aren't feeling judged, people feel safe enough to be fully honest so that we can get to the root of the issue and we can work through what the fuck's going on here. So like eye rolling, like scoffing and like all that kind of stuff, not super helpful in this case.
That's
well,
not true.
yeah,
when you were in the car and you guys seem to be fighting over the driving. Let's take a listen to what was going on.
Crash the car! You guys been driving crazy the whole time. This is ridiculous.
What is wrong?
Go ahead, record. I don't care.
I am recording.
Good, because you're lying.
Nothing happened. I'm
What?
not lying. Nothing happened. I'm not lying about anything. You don't even know the contents of
Literally,
what I'm
like,
texting.
understand that you're liars. Like, you guys lie.
You don't, Jesse?
About what? What have I lied about? Please tell me.
You don't have silverware or plates?
No, I really don't. That doesn't even matter. Yeah, that's how our car ride's going. Yeah.
This sounds very much like a person who's been backed into a corner. I think it's really important to acknowledge here that, again, even as stepmom who is not a biological parent, she's still married, biological dad, I'm assuming, and like you take on some level of responsibility for this child, at least from a legal point of view. So like if you are going to be the person who is intentionally provoking this child, who is pushing buttons and like interacting with them in a way that's not helpful to the overall family dynamic, you have to own responsibility for that.
What were you upset about? What started all of that?
She was swerving a lot. She was driving crazy.
Were you driving crazy?
No.
She wasn't even driving.
When that video happened, I was driving. Remember you kicked the back of my seat? But she got upset for, I don't know, we don't know why she got upset. All of a sudden, she just got upset and started screaming and yelling.
Okay, this is gaslighting. Even if she did get upset out of nowhere or seemingly out of nowhere, the question was not asked in a genuine way like, hey, what's going on? They were like, what's wrong with you? It's different to ask a question in earnest and to say, okay, big change in mood, what's happening? Like maybe we should pull the car over and have a chat. It was like very much this, what's wrong with you? Why are you being this way? What's wrong? And like, that's not actually asking a question in a way that facilitates a conversation. And for her to say like, she just got angry out of nowhere. I don't know what happened. She's crazy. That's gaslighting. This is what a person does when they don't want to own accountability for how they've influenced the outcome of a situation. She's pretending like she was just behind the wheel of this car and her kid just all of a sudden decided to fly off the handle. Which, even if that's the case, again, as the parent, your concern should be like, wow, my child seems really unwell. That's not okay. How can I help my child? Not, why is my kid such a pain in my ass? Like, that's not a helpful reaction to anyone involved.
I didn't know if she got a text message or something. She was in the back seat, so I'm not sure what started her whole rage.
Do you sometimes get upset and not know why?
No, that was like for no reason. I literally just did it like on purpose because she was driving crazy.
Jessica's stepmom, Dory, says when she lived with her, Dory was walking on eggshells 24/7.
When Jessica gets angry, it is very scary. She escalates from 0 to 10 in a blink of an eye. I have lived with Jessica on and off for the past 16 years.
Okay, so that's the context that I needed. If Dory, stepmom, had met Jessica when she was 18 years old and this adult who was liable to fly off the handle at the drop of the hat, that's scary. You know, that's frustrating because you didn't get a hand in the, like, child rearing. So, like, that's kind of frustrating to be an adult who's walking into the situation and being like, I didn't do this and now I just have to deal with the consequences. But if you've known this person for 16 years, you have played a role in their parenting and you are also a contributor to why this person turned out the way that they did. You don't get to act like Jessica shot out of the womb, 18 years old with an anger problem who hits people. That's not how it works. This is a behavior probably escalated over time, and it's not her fault that you guys didn't provide her with the medically necessary resources that she was entitled to deal with this mental illness or like emotional issue. Like, that's not her fault. You did that to her.
Jessica was a troubled child from the time she was a baby.
And you think she's spiraling out of control?
I do.
Okay, but we still have not answered the question about whether we've gotten her help before now. I'm disappointed that we haven't asked this question before because I am dying to know if she's been to therapy or had an evaluation or she's gone to the doctor or like if the adults in her life have raised questions to anybody about what's happening with her, because it seems like that's not the case.
I don't think I'm getting worse. I want to get better. I don't understand
What happens?
what we're getting at.
Okay, so again, if this were individual therapy, again, because I'm not a family therapist, I don't know how to fucking do family therapy. However, if this person was sitting in my office in front of me as an individual and we were just like chatting one-on-one, I'd be like, awesome, you want to get better. How do we do that? What does that look like for you? What would that feel like? That's all a useful conversation to have because that's the motivation that we need, that we can capitalize on to help this person heal and feel better. But like, instead of saying that, it sounds like we're about to interrogate her again, which is really disappointing.
What happens inside when you get in a rage? Is it a blackout rage?
Yeah, I guess.
And
I
you
think
don't.
sometimes she does black out because she didn't remember when she busted my head open.
Oh my God. Okay, so now we're finding out that Jessica apparently doesn't have any kind of memory or recollection of being physically violent with her mom and had been breaking her head open. But we didn't go to a doctor. We didn't go to a therapist. We didn't request any kind of diagnostic or evaluation. We were just like, wow, that's so weird that my kid dissociated and she was angry and she beat the shit out of me. Anyways, must just be her. What the fuck?
Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember that. My phone fell. I didn't mean to do anything to you. That was not on purpose at all.
Are you telling me the truth? Are you being honest with me? Or are you being honest with yourself? You can't change what you don't acknowledge. And that's what I'm trying to figure out. Because your mother says you split her head open with a cell phone. You said, oh, it's just an accident. Your sister says you crashed into her car. You said, oh, it was just on an accident. It's like you take responsibility for nothing. You're saying you want to move back in with your mother.
Because I can't pay my rent.
But you don't really like your mother.
I think she's two-faced and she's making everything a bigger deal. She wants us to go viral and show all my friends.
Okay, so you really don't want to live with her. You're just doing it because you have no choice.
Yeah, I guess. I know.
This is like such a good way to annihilate your relationship with your client, because we can hold people accountable for how their behavior is keeping them stuck and have a conversation about how, like, if nothing changes, then nothing changes, but still in a kind and compassionate way, and still in a way that encourages that desire to grow. Like she said it earlier, I want to get better, but we didn't like, great, how do we do that? Granted, this is not therapy. Like, you can't do clinical therapy in a public forum, obviously, but it's still really disappointing that he sat there and browbeat her for like a solid 30 seconds on national television, because like anything that comes out of your mouth for the next like 10 to 20 minutes, she's not going to hear you, and she's not interested in any advice that you have, because you made her feel small. You embarrassed her, you made her feel shamed on national TV, and now like I wouldn't want to fucking listen to you either if you just sat there and like said all of the things that I'm doing wrong. Even as the adult woman that I am, and the work that I have done on being open to criticism and accountability, I'd be like, hey, fuck you. That's rude. Like, that's not a nice way to voice that at all. And the two moms over there, like, Jesus Christ. This is very clearly edited in a way to be sympathetic to like middle-aged white moms who are having a hard time with their teenagers, and not at all meant to be informative about mental health, because like none of this is helpful to anyone involved.
I never put my hands on you on Thanksgiving. No, that's a lie.
So she's just making that up?
Yeah.
And did you slam the door open at Thanksgiving?
No.
You didn't put that hole in the wall at Thanksgiving?
No.
So who put it there if not you?
I don't know. I guess I did. I don't know.
Okay, so I'm not convinced that the hole in the wall just showed up out of nowhere. Like, she probably did put the hole in the wall. But again, this is what I'm saying, where because he just browbeat her and embarrassed her and made her feel small, she's gonna lie, because she doesn't want to be held accountable for anything, because she feels embarrassed, because you haven't talked about accountability from a place of self-compassion and a place of accountability is how we grow, and that it's okay. Everybody fucks it up. Maybe Dr. Phil has put holes in the wall, and he could own that and talk about that and be like, yeah, you know, like, we do really fucking weird shit when we're angry sometimes, and that's totally cool. This is not you being on trial, but it's important for us to figure out the facts of the matter so that we can figure out how everyone involved can benefit from this conversation and move forward feeling seen and heard and valued and safe. But we're not doing that. We're just like, did you put the hole in the wall? Did you put the hole in the wall? Like, of course she's gonna fucking say no. I would say no. Well, I probably wouldn't, but still, of course she's gonna say no.
Well, you
like, what do you want? Like, I literally, like, oh my God.
This is a very teenager thing. Be like, oh my God, like, she doesn't know what to say because she's been backed into a corner. Clearly, she put the hole in the wall. But this is a sign that you are not having productive or useful communication, because she now has nothing else to say. She's going to clam up. She's going to get mad. She's going to ignore you. She's going to say, you don't know what you're talking about. Shut up. I don't want to talk about it. And we're not having this conversation from a productive place.
I'm just trying to determine if you remember.
Yeah, I remember. Mm-hmm.
Do you remember, or are you just saying that so I'll move on to something else?
You're calling me a liar, so.
And there's the tears.
Are you lying?
No, I don't remember putting a hole in the wall on Thanksgiving.
I'm interested in helping to lead a conversation that figures out what all's going on here. And
okay, but that should not be the point. I know that it's important to gather the facts and have a factual understanding of what's going on, but it's equally important to have that conversation from a kind and compassionate place and to make people feel safe and heard. The point of this interaction should not be like, let's figure out the facts so that we can point the finger at the person who's wrong. That's not it. We're not acknowledging that every person in this family has a role to play and has participated in this family dysfunction. Dr. Phil is just looking for the facts so that he can point his finger and speak sternly to somebody about it. And like, that's not helpful. That's not helpful at all.
I can tell you that whatever's happening with Jessica is not happening in a vacuum. What kind of role modeling has she had from older sisters and the other women in her life? Mm-hmm. Have you modeled anger?
Yes. I mean, I'm sure she has seen me be angry at times, of course, yes. But never to the extent of having the police called or things like that.
Just really quick. She's like, yeah, no, I've been angry, but not like that, so it's definitely not my fault. Like, that's not the point. That's not what he asked you.
Yes, she has.
You're kind of on the outside of the biological unit here, being a stepmother. What have you observed over the years? Or what can you tell us from a historical perspective?
Jesse's always had anger issues.
from a child, baby. She was always different. Then
That's not true.
yeah,
Go ahead.
she was always different than everybody. Her two older sisters, there was a gap between the three of them. So the two older ones are a lot closer than, you know, they are with Jessie because of the age gap. So they did tend to gang up on her a little bit. You know, when she was younger, she had a gap between her teeth, and it was always, you know, SpongeBob teeth. And, you know, they'd make fun of her because she was on a learning IEP program.
I think that growing
Yeah,
up,
our
her
families, they
siblings-
make everything a bigger deal than it is. And I don't think the world's against me at all. I have friends. My family makes it seem like everything is like a bigger deal than it is.
Jessica, you haven't been able to hold on to friends since grade school.
Yeah,
Have you
because
always
we
had
moved
custody of
from
the girls,
houses
or
to
did you lose
houses.
custody of the girls for a period of time?
Okay, this is a train wreck. No one is respecting anybody else's communication here. Like, again, not a family therapist. I don't know dick about family therapy, but I do know that when we facilitate a conversation between more than one person, it's important to have very clear and delineated rules about you can't talk over other people. It's not allowed. You will get your chance to share your piece and to give your perspective and offer your like context and excuses and feelings and whatever, but now's not the time. Zip the lips. The other person has the floor, and we are just talking all over each other, Dr. Phil included. Like, what is going on? This is a bloodbath.
Because of your anger.
No, I never lost custody of my girls, ever. So from the ages
yeah,
of
you
10
did.
and 14, Jessica's age from 10 to 14, she did live with her dad in another state. He keeps them for 4 years. And then after that, he calls me up and says, okay, I'm done. I've done my time. It's time for them to come live back with
And
you.
anger on your part had no issue, no part in this?
No, not at all.
Dory, what's your understanding of this?
My understanding was when the kids were littler, from what I was told by their dad, that the kids came to live with him because of their relationship with their mother.
That's completely not true. I don't even know why you would bring that up.
Right.
But completely.
Somebody's fucking lying. But also, where the fuck is dad? Where's dad? Like, why is dad not on this fucking show? Because it seems like dad has a part to play in this, but also like might have the truth about what the fuck's going on here. Dad's just like nowhere to be found. That's cool.
Not true. Their
You're
dad
bringing
is
it up because I'm asking questions and turning over every stone to find
Right.
every bit of information, and I want
Right.
full transparency and full self-critique.
Hold on, just really quickly. I just realized that there's people in the back who are watching. They have the audience live streamed on the background right now.
From everybody to give me all the information. You didn't drive all the way across the United States to give me 98% of the information that might be relevant. Don't withhold something from me and then expect me to give you help.
Right, and I'm not. My
Don't
ex-husband and
sugarcoat it,
I,
don't varnish it, don't
that
spin
was
it.
part of the reason why I left him, was because of his anger issues. Yes, so he and I argued a lot. Yes.
So yeah,
There
both
was,
my parents
but
have
not
anger
toward
issues.
the children.
She's basically summing it up. Like, both my parents have anger issues. That's it. Like,
That's relevant. I mean,
yeah, that's straight up. Like, that's exactly what it is. Like, that's
this
why
isn't
I-
all about throwing you under the bus. You seem to think it is, but it isn't.
Yeah,
I'm trying to
so-
get everything on the table so I can understand. You know, just think about
Oh my God.
this. There are parts of the brain that drive behavior.
This is fucking wild. So this is something that is important to talk about actually, because mom seems to be under the impression that because she wasn't physically angry or violent with her children, that there's no way that they could have absorbed some kind of anger issue from like her modeling that behavior. And like, yeah, they can. Kids are so fucking observant, and especially when they're little and you think that they're not paying attention, they see you. They recognize the way that you deal with stress. They see the way that you deal with uncomfortable emotion, and they mimic that. So when, you forget to buy French toast at the grocery store and lose your fucking shit, your kid is like, cool, yes, okay, that's what we do. When we're minor inconvenience, lose our minds. That's how that works. Like, kids absorb so much information from the adults in their life without adults ever explicitly saying something, which is why It's so important to have very explicit conversations with your kids about, hey, so something just happened. I just lost my shit about the French toast, but we should talk about how, like, that's not okay. That's not the way that we should deal with anger. The point that I'm making is that it's important to have conversations with children about how do we deal with big emotions? What do we do when? Because if you don't offer them that, like, specific instruction, they're just going to pick up what you're doing. And odds are what you're doing is probably not the healthiest because, like, hello, we're human beings, we're flawed. But, like, again, if you're not offering them the opportunity to learn the most healthy or helpful coping strategies, they're just going to model what they see from the other kids at school, from the people who are babysitters, from you and the other adults in their life. And, like, that's also your responsibility as a parent to teach them these things. You don't get to just, like, check out and be like, I don't know, they'll figure it out. Like, not good enough.
Fear and emotion. And those parts of the brain for Jessica are not healthy and have been neglected. She's been misdiagnosed. She's been improperly medicated, either given the wrong medication or not the right medication. And that's been going on for a number of years. And her brain has been deteriorating because she hasn't been properly diagnosed. 50% of the solution to any problem lies in defining what that problem is. Because if you don't know what the problem is, you're either not treating it or you're treating the wrong thing.
Right.
She has severe ADHD, severe. And this...
I love that Jessica's just laughing because, like, yeah, the adults in her life should have provided her with the appropriate medical care. I'm confused about the whole, like, brain deteriorating thing. I'm by no means the authority on what brains do or don't do. I have somewhat limited knowledge about how the brain works purely just from an emotional regulation standpoint, like, especially trauma. We talk about the structure of the brain. Don't misunderstand, I'm not the authority on brain chemistry here, but it's odd to me that he would say that her brain has been deteriorating. I find that hard to believe. That seems maybe a little hyperbolic because what I'm picturing when I hear brain deteriorating is like the tissue being necrotic and like eating itself and like disappearing, which is uncommon. And she would have all other types of deficits if her brain was like literally disappearing. So this seems like it's intentionally sensationalized and I'm not a fan.
Is complicated with learning disabilities. It creates information deficits. She has an inability to focus. There is no way in God's earth this girl is in a position to be living on her own. Absolutely.
I'm sorry, what? Why is she not allowed to live on her own? That's ableist as fuck, first of all. But also, like, where's your evidence for that? Because she has severe ADHD that's been untreated? Like, fucking me too. I'm living on my own and I'm fine. I mean, okay. But, like, lots of people have severe ADHD. If that's not necessarily a barrier to be able to safely and effectively live on your own, I am so, like, can I have some sources? What are your facts? Like, where's your evidence to support this belief?
Absolutely unequivocal. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely. And it's, when I was going through all of this, I got really sad for Jessica and for her family because...
She's like, hold on. Okay, this is not okay. First of all, it's not appropriate for mental health professionals to speak about a person as if they're not in the room. Second of all, we don't want to approach people with an attitude of pity. That's condescending. That's rude. Also a great way to annihilate your therapeutic relationship. I did know that this person was in these video clips and I did Google him beforehand. Apparently he peddles some kind of weird pseudoscience that's like really not, it's frowned upon by other people in the scientific community and specifically like neurology. So I would take anything that he says with a grain of salt.
I mean, it's not your fault they did get misdiagnosed. Most psychiatrists never look at the brain. If you don't look, how would you know? But when you look at it, it's so clear. And most kids who have ADHD, when they're 18, emotionally, they're not, you know, and they're younger.
Okay, so we're insinuating that her ADHD is severe enough that she cognitively is so delayed that she is intellectually not 18 years old. This is like such an old school thing to say. This idea that like it's an 18-year-old body but an 8-year-old person, like dislike, thumbs down. I also am frustrated by the insinuation that this is like a terminal condition. We know, this is one of the things that I do know about the brain. The concept of neuroplasticity is like really, really cool. If you haven't haven't looked into it, I would highly recommend that you do because it's fascinating. But we know that our brain is highly elastic and it's able to grow and evolve and change and adapt to a whole bunch of different circumstances. So for him to insinuate that because she has ADHD, she's like out for the count and like can never live on her own, again, ableist as fuck, but also rude and like highly inaccurate.
Which means it's really hard for them to manage their lives. And because they're not managing it at the level of their peers, they hate themselves.
Okay, well,
Oh my God. Okay. So that's like a whole bunch of assuming. Wow. Listen, I'm not a neuroscientist. I don't know dick all about like brain scans or like the technology that he seems to be peddling. However, I have worked with plenty of people who have ADHD. I've worked with plenty of people who have a number of debilitating mental illnesses. And I promise you, it is absolutely possible for a mentally ill person to live on their own, to be successful, to feel confident, to be empowered, and to form all different types of healthy, happy, loving relationships and have this wonderful life. I've said this before. Mental illness is not a disqualifying condition for being worthy of love and belonging, and it certainly doesn't disqualify you from living a life that looks similar to that of your peers. Also, I would just like to point out that if that's really true, first of all, where are your facts, your statistics, your evidence for this? Because if we're going to make extraordinary claims, we need extraordinary evidence. But also to say that she hates herself is so inappropriate. You don't know that. You know how you could figure that out? If you ask the person who's sitting right fucking next to you, like, how do you feel about yourself, Jessica? Is that affecting your self-esteem? One of my favorite questions to ask people is, okay, so that seems like a big presence in your life. Does that make you feel some type of way about yourself? And usually the response is like, fucking yeah. And then I'm like, okay, great, awesome. So tell me what that looks like. What's that feel like? How's that showing up for you? But when we put a person in the driver's seat like that and we make them feel safe enough to talk about it, then we get a whole lot of information, but we also get a whole lot of motivation out of this person. Like, yeah, I don't like this. And actually it's showing up in this way. And I want to change that. And we should work on this. And I want to address that. And like, wow, what a great place to get started, because then we can, again, capitalize on that motivation and help this person move forward towards the things that they want to move forward to. But when we are just going to be men who sit in a room with a bunch of other women and go, well, you know, I have opinions about how she hates herself. Dr. Phil, she hates herself. Like, fuck off. You don't know that. You're not allowed to say that. You can't speak for her. And it just, whew, I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't support it. I don't like it.
I feel like everyone's against me. Like, where do you want me to live?
Well, we need to talk about that, and
I already have a year lease on my apartment. So.
We need to talk about that because you certainly are someone that needs to be helped here. This isn't something that you should be punished, ostracized, blamed in any way. No one has ever looked at her brain.
No, never.
So I
That's a
brought you
lie.
the best in the world to look at
That's
her
a lie.
brain, and he said, whoa.
That's a lie.
Right.
I'm sorry?
That was a lie.
No, she's probably referring to, they thought she might have had a tumor on her pituitary gland at one point, but all
I
they
understand.
did,
That's how like,
but they never did a
crazy
brain
she is.
scan.
Yeah, nobody's ever looked at her brain in this way to figure out how it was functioning.
Yes.
The question is, are you
No, I
willing to
wouldn't.
comply with what we're asking you to do?
which is what.
Oh my God. Okay, so now we're gonna hold her captive because she has a very common mental illness. Lots of people have severe ADHD. I am flabbergasted by the insinuation that she is so broken and beyond repair that the best case of action is for her abusive mother and father and stepmother, who clearly don't seem invested in her growth or interested at all in making her feel empowered and loved and safe, are the best people to force her to live with them and like fucking do what exactly? Like do what? What's the action plan here? I'm so confused.
But because you talk in circles, so I don't understand what you're trying to say.
Will you do what Dr. Amen is recommending?
Which is what?
Take the medications, change the lifestyle, do the things that you need to do to let your brain heal.
How?
Take the medications, change the lifestyle in the way that it's going to involve nutrition, sleep patterns, do the therapies, do the things that I'm talking about to let your brain heal.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You know, should I let her move back in with me?
Great. Just sew it up. We're all good to go. He said, thank you. Oh, wow. I love that we also snuck some diet culture bullshit in there. I'm sure that they're gonna micromanage her diet and like just what the fuck is going on here?
So that I can help her manage everything. I mean, I'm not
There's
sure
no
Do
what
you
way
to-
she-
want me to?
There's no way
It's
she
not
could
up
live
to
on her
him.
own.
It's up to
It's like putting a
you.
12-year-old child on her own.
Okay.
It's not up to him, it's up to you.
I just didn't know what I should be doing as her mother.
Wow. Okay, let's recap. This is the end of the clip. That's all that's on YouTube and all that I have access to because I'm not paying for fucking cable. I am blown away by the way that we handled this. I'm not gonna lie. This seems like a poorly placed ad for Dr. Amon's weird brain scanning situation, more so than it does a dynamic conversation about how fucked up this family is. Because there's lots of dysfunction happening here. I think it's also important to note though, these people don't seem like too far gone to make meaningful progress. I think if they had a very stern family therapist, these people could experience like a pretty significant improvement in their quality of life. But we didn't do any of that. Like we didn't talk about how mom's enabling the kid. We didn't talk about how this is a problem that's existed her whole life and all of the adults in her life were just like, God, what a mystery. She's a fucking crazy bro. Oh, well, what are you gonna do? We're her legal guardians and in charge of her medical care, but what are you gonna do, baby? What the fuck? I am so disappointed and so sad for Jessica because I mean, she's an 18-year-old. She doesn't have to do anything that her parents want her to do. So I really hope that she was able to get some kind of actually empowering and encouraging services or therapy or like connect with some kind of provider who actually cared and wasn't just trying to talk about his like patented brain scan technology on TV, because this is just so upsetting. I'm kind of just going to leave it there. But again, I really want to drive home the point that if you have a mental illness, even if it's severe, even if it's poorly managed, even if you're unmedicated or not able to go to therapy or not able to get medicated, there's lots of different stuff that you can do to improve your quality of life. Do not let people tell you that you are not worthy of love or that you're not able to live on your own, you're not able to accomplish your dreams or do the things that you want to do, because you fucking are. This is bullshit. I hate this. I don't support this in any way. And there are also so many mental health providers out there who will work with you, who will meet you where you're at, and who will help you accomplish the things that you want to accomplish, because we genuinely believe in people and we love our jobs and we love what we do and we want to make a difference in your life. So like, there's so many resources. I'm going to put all the resources in the description because I really want to encourage you guys to go to therapy and like work on this stuff, because like this is not at all representative of what therapy is like or what your progress can look like if you find the right person for you. Wow, wow, wow. Let's get the fuck out of here. If you like the video and subscribe to the channel. We do stuff like this, but we also have really fun educational content, so I'd love to have you stay and check it out. Leave comments and chat with each other. Be kind to each other, but chat with each other. And yeah, share the video to help the channel grow and to help each other grow. And I will see you guys next Saturday. Okay, bye.